What's up, everyone, and welcome to the NSFW podcast. Today is National Social Media Day, and I caught Viola doing something in the parking lot. If you're listening at work, put on your headphones because this is not safe for work. So, pulling up to the parking lot today to the studio, I see Viola's car all the way in the back, all by himself, and Jesse's in there. So, what the hell's going on in the parking lot today?
So, it looked kind of strange, but I was meditating, and I have an app. It's called Headspace, and I meditate, and I usually do it in my car because my car is the only time I can ever get like some time by myself where I'm not either being questioned by employees or talked to from children and wives, and I have multiple wives. That's not true. I only have one.
So you're like I know you in business. You're like a go out, kill them, cut them up, and eat them type of guy. How do you make the transition from that guy to meditative? You feel like half a queen sometimes.
So well, first of all, it's all of this shit that you think about, like the fluffy Indian guys like floating around on magic carpets and, you know, like bright and shiny sunny day type shit. It's not that at all. It's basically like a mindfulness app. It's all about like shutting off, stopping, and kind of like realizing that a huge percentage of everything that you're worried about, thinking about, is just kind of like on an auto loop in your brain, and it's just playing. And if you can kind of train yourself to pause, stop, then you can kind of exercise a little bit more control over, you know, your life. You know, because, you know, I mean, and me, like you said, I mean, I'm a pretty type A driven personality, and I wake up in the morning and like I'm immediately conflicted about like, you know, what I'm going to be doing 5 years from now, what I'm going to eat for breakfast, what time am I going to get home, you know, what color socks am I going to wear? I mean, all these things inhabit my brain the moment I open my eyes. So for me, the meditation thing, it's been helpful in terms of like, all right, you know, slow down, prioritize the thoughts, and it's been good.
We've all heard of meditation. I don't think any of us actually knows how to actually do it, other than just sitting in a room by yourself. You feel kind of ridiculous, especially if you're a novice. Does the app teach you how to do it?
So in the beginning, I tried some stuff like, you know, sit in the room and, you know, sit down Indian style and like, you know, silence and stuff, sit on a pillow, and I tried a bunch of that, and that shit was pretty tough, you know. I mean, because once again, you start to, you know, create these pictures in your mind of things that you've seen in the past. But I stumbled upon this app called Headspace, which I found through a podcast I listened to, the Tim Ferriss podcast. And it's exactly what it is. The dude, he's like this little British man named Andy, and he talks to you, and he has like the sweetest, softest voice, and he just like talks to you, and he tells you what to do.
Oh, Jesse. Jesse.
And if you pay a little extra, you get like, you know, they'll talk to you in your name.
Do you hear me, Jesse?
But it's a structured thing. Like there's multiple levels. Like, you know, like there's a 10-day free trial, which I'm gonna invite both of you guys to do. And then, you know, next show, and we'll come back and we'll talk about it, and you guys will be like, dude, you're a fucking freak. Or you'll be like, this shit's great. I've turned some people onto it, and most people come back, and most people are like, wow, this is fucking awesome.
Now, have you ever had any type of prayer, or are you a spiritual person? Because you're talking about meditation, but when I think of, you know, the description that you gave earlier about meditation and how it's not all these things, what you didn't say, is there any correlation to prayer?
What's cool about this is that it's the opposite of that. It's the opposite of that. It like, you know, it has nothing to do with anything that is external or outside of yourself. That's me.
So what's the difference between what you define as meditation and someone who is really more understanding of prayer and spirituality? Where are the differences between the two?
Yeah, so like it's like, one thing from my perspective is that it's completely the opposite of anything that you would like relate to religion or spirituality or it's like it's almost like, going to the gym for your mind. It's like a 15 to 20 minute session of like just you and yourself, and you shut, no screens. I mean, I'm running the app off my phone, but I put it, I turn off all the, I don't take any incoming calls and whatnot.
You shut the world out.
I shut the world out, and it's, and it's just, and you'd be surprised in the beginning how difficult it is to just sit there with your thoughts. You'd be surprised how difficult it is.
But that's what I'm saying. You're saying that it's not prayer, but yet for people who pray, like myself, you're not tied to a religion with prayer.
All right, so I'll give you a perfect example of how it's, and once again, my perception of what you may call prayer, right?
Right.
This is not a proactive event. You're not looking to accomplish anything. It's the actual opposite. You're just sitting down and you're stopping and you're letting, because like everything that's happening is happening with or without us. If you evaporated right now, right, everything would still be going on. So your point of view, your mental context, who gives a fuck? You know what I mean? In the grand scheme of things, all of us, we're all just having these, internal plays happening in our mind. And this is like an opportunity to kind of like observe that while still being in yourself. And like I said, I'm gonna send out the invites. You guys are gonna play with this. The first thing you're gonna say is like, "Fucking Jesse's a freak. He's a fucking weirdo."
It's like, okay.
But I'm pretty confident that if it's a 10-day, it's 10 days. You have to do 10 days straight of it's called Take 10, so it's 10 minutes. So it's 10 minutes a day for 10 days straight. And I'm confident that if you do it, if you really say, okay, I'm gonna give this a shot, by the end of it, you're going to be like, wow, this is pretty cool. This is pretty cool. And there's all kinds of studies that show.
Is it that you're doing something to better yourself and you're just from the outside looking in, as you say? Or is it that you're trying to get to a better place inside of yourself with meditation?
I think what brought me to it specifically is that, as life has developed and, the businesses that I have going on and the different things that I'm involved in, as I've become more successful, I feel as though there are more things that are occupying my brain space, and I feel as though, the better things get, the more there is to worry about. So I kind of did this as a way to kind of dial back and slow down and kind of take stock of, where I'm at, who I am, and
so like a stress reliever.
Yeah, I think if you really want to encapsulate it into a simple form, I think that'd be pretty. I'm
just trying to get my head around the whole meditation.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to really fucking complicate shit and like really wrap it up. But
did you ever do yoga? Have you ever?
I have. I've done yoga.
So what's the difference?
I've never done hot yoga.
So let's. Well, I don't know. I never understood the whole yoga thing either. But
I guess yoga.
What's the difference between yoga and where you go and when you're doing the yoga?
Yoga could probably be related to meditation in motion.
Meditation in motion.
Meditation in motion. It's like a physical action. It's pretty much built upon the same principles. But I'm going to tell you, it's going to be a lot easier to get into, Headspace, the app, than it is yoga. I mean, yoga is, if you really want to do it, it's a challenge.
You guys into scrapbooking at all?
Scrapbooking?
Crocheting? Needlepoint?
I mean, I've never tried it, but I'm open.
So we got a 10-day challenge from Jesse. I think it's a nice little intermediary between us getting Elliot fully onto Snapchat. We'll try him on the meditation app. Are you willing to accept?
What is the Snapchat? What is Snapchat?
You keep saying the Snapchat.
The Snapchat.
The Facebook.
It's like that's why I said the Facebook.
Facebook.com.
The Facebook.
The Facebook.com.
You down for the challenge?
Snapchat. I'm up for it. I'm down for it.
We have 10 days.
I'm either way for it.
And we're doing it here. So next time we come back, if you guys flake, it's going to be like...
Okay, now I will put my 100% try into this Snapchat. Oh, wait. Into the meditation. You send me the app. You send me the invite. I will accept your invite.
I think you'll be surprised. And the next time you pull up on me and I'm in the car.
Do I look stressed?
And
Do I look like I'm meditating?
And I'm very far away from everybody else.
So wait, so now we have to go,
And now when we all pull up to the next taping and we're all like real spread apart.
What exactly are you doing in the car?
You know what happens.
What exactly are you doing in your car? Right?
All right, so you gave me an idea for the next segue. We'll be right back. We'll talk about Social Media Day.
Nice.
Should be consumers.
All right, so Jesse, you brought up a good point. Your need for meditation kind of stemmed from your brain just going in overdrive. Me being a business owner, I'm in the exact same situation. Elliot, I don't know about you, but
Elliot sits in his ivory tower and counts money all day.
Or other people's money.
Better.
So I know, obviously, a result of owning a business, your mind's at full speed all the time. But also, we talked about this in one of our pre-shows, our rehearsals. With the advent of social media, and there just being so much information and so many options out there to keep your mind busy. Do you feel that that's like 50-50 as far as your need for meditation and your brain kind of constantly going in overdrive? Do you think if social media wasn't a part and it was just your business, you'd still be in this situation, or do you think just being alive in today's social media environment, we're kind of witnessing this sweet spot in human evolution where our brain just has to deal with an unprecedented amount of information, and we're trying to figure that out and evolve as a species?
I mean, I think it all comes into play. I mean, I think to start, I am a super high-strung dude who is like constantly. I mean, I remember when I was a young kid, my mother took me to get an iguana. And it was the first time I ever heard the word hyperventilate, because she looked at me in the back seat. She's like, "You're gonna fucking hyperventilate. What are you doing? You're gonna have a heart attack." And I'm like really excited all the time. But take that, add social media, add this era that we're living in. I mean, there's no doubt that we are inundated with information and data, and so it's overwhelming. And I think that when you apply it to business, being an entrepreneur is an uncertain road in the first place. So you don't know what the fuck you're doing. You kind of have a feeling that you might, and you want to, take your show on the road and give it a shot. So, you when you throw it all in the pot, it's a lot playing. And I think any tool that you can find to slow down the time a little bit, I think it's important. But I think that the era that we're living in is also unprecedented.
So Elliot, you probably have the most perspective. Do you think with all this stuff going on, we're becoming smarter, becoming stupider, or we're just in the process of...
This is a lot of pressure. This is a lot of pressure right now to answer this question.
Yeah.
Because everybody's waiting for you to say, "Fucking kids, it's too much bullshit."
Just my opinion.
You think about never having to memorize the phone number, not having to know anything about maps or direction or where you are. Do you feel like you're stupider, people are getting stupider, or you think it's just there's so much stuff that we're actually getting better at bringing in all this information?
I think we're using all these different sources of information as an excuse to feel the pressure. If you think about my parents' generation, not even my generation, or the people that I look to for what was really a difficult time and how much they had to put up with and what they had to deal with versus what we have to deal with. Because that's what I hear you saying. What you're saying is, I can't deal with everything.
Yeah.
I think we're raising a bunch of pussies.
Oh!
I'm sorry. I just, and the way I see it, if you have all these things available to you today, and you've got more information than you ever had at your fingertips, life should be easier for you. So, I mean, again, just looking at it from my perspective, there were generational differences. Clearly, I don't want to go to a place where I'm going to start bringing up things like the difference between kids today who play on video games and don't have any physical activity.
Video games.
Right, video games. I mean, there's video games. Pull out the phone. Look, where are they getting activity? So when you talk about stress relief, I think about the fact that, and you and I talked about this once before, I started going to the gym a couple of years ago. I feel a lot better. I can deal with things a lot better because I now have what I never really had for many years, physical activity. So I think when you talk about meditation and you talk about the levels of stress that people have today, and you talk about the things that you're dealing with, oh my God, I got 2 kids. Really? 2? Wow. 2. The average household.
At least got like 7.
5. 5.
Let's just
but
let the record show.
Right, but the average household, but in what? You look back in the years, in the 60s and 70s, people grew up with 4, 5, 6 kids.
I think you make a strong point in terms of
We're a bunch of...
there's some hard, you know, the pussification of society.
I'm laughing as I'm hearing it. I'm like, oh my God. Seriously?
I agree with you on a lot of that because I mean, I often have conversations about how
I can't deal with my children. I need to send them
We are-
to oh no, they have to go to activities today. Let me just line up my kids and let them go do like 15 things during the week because I can't deal with them.
Yeah, no question. I mean, I've had many conversations about that exact. But all that said, you have to at least allow for the fact that the environment, the competitive landscape of the way business is now, it has never been even close. I mean, with the advent of technology and the way the internet is created,
But you're
like the
talking
fact
about
how, like,
you're talking about business being highly competitive, which I'm not disagreeing on that fact, and what business owners and entrepreneurs have to do to sustain. But again, if you want to take a look back and go back into the 30s and 40s and what it was like to go through bad downturns.
Perfect example, but think about time. I mean, we could really get freaky and talk about like has time sped up, but I'm not going to go that deep yet. But just think about this, right? Think about when you were running your accounting practice in, I don't know,
90s
in the
right.
1900s or whatever it was. Back,
90s?
when they were doing the
Pre-2000?
telegraph and shit.
Wow. Okay.
In the beginning.
Below the belt. It was 1996.
So pre-email, pre-cell phone, that era, right? When like the expectation.
There were cell phones around. Come on, dude.
All right, so then we have to go.
It wasn't a brick next to my head. It was in the 80s.
We have to go back. Let's go back to the 80s, though.
There was a flip phone, right? Okay.
The expectation of the flow of information, turnaround time. The expectation, people would stop on the side of the road and use a payphone or whatever. The information did not move as fast. The customer, the client, it wasn't the expectation of the right answer on the spot did not exist the way it exists now.
But
now, literally,
level...
with SMS, email, everybody expects everything to be delivered now, and we compete in that marketplace.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is that the level of information doesn't change the required amount of success people demand. If anything, there's so much information available that people want to be more successful quicker. There was a point where when you were building a business in your 20s and 30s, you would expect success at certain points in your life. People want it now, okay? So that's why, no offense, right? Millennials, Gen Xers, the now generation. Now, I want it now. I don't want to wait. I want to make $100,000 right now. I'm not gonna
$100,000.
So
it's pittance. We want
right.
$500,000 yesterday.
Right. Thank you. And where's the disappointment? Where's the disappointment when things don't go?
Unrealistic expectations are a big source of stress.
So where's the stress coming from? Right. Self-induced.
Yeah.
What do people need versus what they want? Okay, if you were to separate needs and wants, and understand,
we're all business people, and nobody needs to be wealthy.
Understand the driver.
Nobody needs to be
understand the driver. If
successful.
you understand the driver as to what's really pushing you to want to be successful, and what are you trying to accomplish with that success? Are you changing the course of medicine and coming up with new vaccines, or you breakthroughs to help humans, or are you trying to buy another Rolex?
I'm trying to buy another Rolex.
Right. So let's talk about
after
what
the Rolex,
the stress.
we can worry about.
Let's talk about what the stress really is and what it all comes down to: the chasing of materialistic wealth, not changing things that are going to be better for us. So on one hand, you talk meditation to work on your insides, and yet you're describing the need to make more money and be successful for an accumulation of wealth that we all know.
But I think, you could probably speak to this too, is that you get into business, obviously the money thing is a thing. But I think for most people, it goes deeper. It goes deeper than that. It's not just about amassing money. It's about this internal thing that spurs you forward. And I think that in itself is something that requires constant management.
If you were saying, we just talked earlier before we got on camera about Elon Musk and the whole entire thing between Tesla and Solar City. When you're talking about developing new technologies to better the human race, If you're talking about
Yeah, but Elon Musk didn't develop PayPal to better the human
okay,
race.
what I'm saying to you is when you're talking about developing things that will help people in certain countries that aren't as well off and helping people who are starving or the sick or the homeless. If you were talking about developing if you had stress for doing those
No, but
things.
bring it back to Jesse's original question. Do you think people are getting stupider? Is the advent of technology,
What's
social media?
all the stimuli doing to the human brain?
Yes.
I think to answer your question in such a long, and I apologize for the
That's
long.
what we do
way.
here.
Right.
That's what we do
So,
here. We're a bunch of fucking long-winded guineas.
I think it creates a false sense of stress, because I think there's no such thing as too much information. It's the ability to have that information is a gift. It's a tool.
I agree with that.
It's there to be utilized properly, not improperly. Like anything else that we're given in life, if you use something too much and over abuse it, right? Let's talk about alcohol. Alcohol is a wonderful thing to have. If you have too much, what happens?
A lot of bad shit.
A lot of bad shit. So, like anything else, it can be overused.
Yeah.
There could be too much social media in your life. There could be, hold on, smile. I mean, everywhere you go.
You think he's dropping some wisdom? I mean,
No, it's all things in moderation, not overabundances and over consuming.
all right, but wait. So I'm going to use this one against you. All things in moderation.
Okay.
Well, no. Do you apply all things in moderation to the intensity you bring to building your business when you were in that stage of your life?
If you don't have balance.
Sure.
Now, I'll go back. I'm a Libra. Okay, so Libra is what? Well balanced. To me, it's got to be about balance.
So you're saying
one of the biggest problems
you're
I had.
gifted with balance.
One of the biggest problems I had in the tearing away from me and making the decision to leave my partnership was all about balance in my life. I got to a point of, and as my wife said to me, when is it ever going to be enough? When's it ever going to be enough? How much money do you need to make? You know, and to her point of wisdom is sometimes we get so caught up as entrepreneurs that we're chasing something, and we're not really doing it for the money.
Yeah, what are you chasing? Yeah.
You're doing it for the desire to accomplish something. It's never about the kill, it's about the hunt.
I think that is much more of a driver than the money itself.
But talking about the social media or talking about the tools or the information or the resources we have available to us, you can overuse that to the point of where you're missing why you do things. That's just my opinion. I mean, to me, it's an observation, because in looking at what people do, there's a sense of urgency that was never had before. You know, and of course, not to sound again like the old guy at the table, but there was a point where I do remember Sundays being a day where stores weren't even opened. That there was no expectation. Let me just finish my point. Let me finish my point. If you, as a person, knew that you had that day where no one bothered you, no one, and that there was nothing work-related, and it was just a day earmarked for fun, right? Now think about that and process that for a second. An entire work day. People don't go hours without transferring information and demanding. And you think about other societies, we're talking about America, and outside of the United States, they're laughing at us.
No, I think this is
They're
global.
laughing.
I think that little magic box is
Listen,
global.
you can talk about social media all you want, but the counterpart to that is if you go work in any other country or certain countries in Europe where they're getting 6 and 8 weeks vacation as soon as you start working for a job.
Yeah, that's a completely different.
You're talking about, but I'm talking about is the expectation of work with the information. Social media is if you're trying to say that an overabundance of this as a useful tool, whether it's work or play. Look at that. Look at that. It's going off my head. Put that aside. Like, when are you done yet? Useful tool. Then there can be too much. And you have to be able to say all things in moderation. Absolutely.
But all right, so it's easy, and this is what you do for a living. You know what I mean? I mean, you do digital marketing, and it's the world you're in. I mean, it's easy for the older generation to adopt the nostalgia of, well, once upon a time Sundays, you couldn't get alcohol until 12 o'clock, or what, I mean, that's easy.
Wait, when did that change?
It's still like that?
No, I guess not.
And there's a lot of value to that, but I feel like the concentration now, it's like this is the world we have, and how do we navigate through it?
So to Elliot's point, where you used to have your day, the day of no work, no contact, it was my day. I think, now if you were to enforce that, people would go crazy because they go haywire because they don't have their devices. So there's definitely some type of evolution going on, right? So we've opened the box. We can't go back to being
Right, and I don't think you
sitting
should go
around.
back. I don't want you to mistake my observation. All I'm saying is that you consider it progress. And what you deem as progress, is it truly progress at that point?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it is, but where do we think that ends? Like the Sunday off is something that would drive us crazy now, And me being in the business, seeing this happen and developing this type of stuff,
Sure.
Just seeing it work on people's brains and the public in general. Where do you guys think it stops?
I
I
don't.
think you can look at it a lot of ways. It's just like anything else. It's a choice. Like I always like to lean to the side of, we're living in a time of human evolution. We're living during the evolution of human communication. We are, and I choose to be excited about what comes next because the truth is that when you look at, just on its basic level. I mean, I started my business in 2008. Email. I mean, I've been able to build a company based on, I started with an email address and a cell phone number, and, now we have, multiple employees, we have brick and mortar, we have vehicles, you know what I mean? But literally, I built it, on an email address and a cell phone number. I mean, that is, wasn't possible at a certain point in time. And I think that's just, technology is going to continue, like to what you're saying. I mean, I'm sitting being a little bitch about it and saying I'm so overwhelmed I need to meditate in
Think
my
about
car.
what started, right? So you're talking about meditation
But
and social media.
there's a lot of tools that are out there that if you, define your goal and then figure out what are the best tools to use, there's a lot of stuff that you can do now that you could never done before. You can, and I think as old as humans are and as long as we've been around, and you'll always have it, and we'll probably do it, and our kids will probably do it. As generations go on and things change, the older generations look back and they look at it like, holy shit, this is craziness. It's all going to hell. One day, I guess it's going to be true. The sun's going to stop burning, or Jesus is going to come back
listen,
and torch us all.
I don't want you to take it the wrong way. I mean, I think progress.
it's natural.
You can't stop progress, and I think it is natural. But I want you to think about the question about what social media and the impact, and now in the point of meditation and having too much information. I think it's a balancing act, and you've got to decide at what point individually and in business you decide enough's enough, and you're able to turn it off, and not to let it overwhelm your life. That's all I'm saying.
No, yeah, I think. I mean, it's a strong point. It's a strong point. But let's take it to business for a second. Let's take it to social media in business. Your business specifically, right? Your new business. The need to market yourself in that personal, social kind of context, like that is now a new need that didn't exist anymore.
You're changing the norms. It's not business as usual. I get it.
It's something
Right.
to where
it's being reinvented, and it's
and I
constantly
think
changing.
that's something that once again I think is not put out there enough to where everybody should be open to it, but you're 100% right into where you need to draw the line and control where what you do and what you allow into your brain space.
Right.
Welcome back, everyone. I never thought I'd be on a podcast with Mr. Meditation and Mr. Astrology over here, but here we are. So we're talking about social media. Where does it end? We see everybody walking around, with their faces plastered in here. I tell you, within a year or two, it's going to be permanently affixed with a VR screen, and there's going to be no escaping it. I can absolutely see that coming. I'm kind of looking forward to it. It'll be a cool little change up, but probably going to have to balance that out with meditation and
and drugs.
Avoid walking into walls.
So, final thoughts, Jesse. We're going to take your 10-day challenge.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see. It's interesting to see what what you come back with. Today he's calling me a pussy about how stressed out I am. But he's going to come back next time and just be like, dude, I feel light as a feather right now.
I don't know.
Well, we're going to say it's a challenge.
I don't know. Meditation.
Challenges. But
Next
the
episode,
old guy will fall asleep while he's meditating.
that could happen. That could happen.
The next episode, we'll change the name to just take the N off because we'll all be like totally chill. Like,
This is so safe
it's
for
the
work.
perfect safe for work. Closing thoughts, Elliot?
I think I go back to the same thing at the end of each episode. It's, utilizing what you've got in business, gifts, talents, tools, to the way you see fit. There's no perfect scenario. I think each person has to utilize what they bring to the table. There's no right and wrong. What's right for you may not be right for me.
True
You know,
story.
and you have to
True
make
story.
that work. So I think you have to create it on an individual by individual basis.
True story.
All right, guys, entrepreneurs out there, social media, you guys have your brains overwhelmed, overstimulated. Have any way to combat it? Let us know in the comments. See you next time.